Hey guys, this is Amit and you are watching Tech Dad. In this video, we are going to compare between Poco X3 Pro versus Xiaomi Mi 10i, and we will discuss which one is better in camera, performance, display, body of the devices, features, communication chips, and about the prices. And in the end of the video, I will tell you which one is better according to me. So watch this video till the end. So without wasting any time, let's start the video. Let the comparison start with the camera of the devices. Talking about the rear camera of the devices, X3 Pro have quad camera setup, 48 megapixel of wide camera, 8 megapixel of ultra wide camera, 2 megapixel of macro camera and 2 megapixel of depth sensor. Whereas 10i also comes with quad camera setup, 108 megapixel of wide camera, 8 megapixel of ultra wide camera, 2 megapixel of macro camera and 2 megapixel of depth sensor. So the winner here is 10i because it has better camera sensor, which can take great photos. And about the front camera of the devices, X3 Pro have 20 megapixel of wide camera and 10i have 16 megapixel of wide camera. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have 20 megapixel of wide camera, which can take low noisy photos in low light conditions. Let's talk about the camera features of the devices. Both of the devices have dual LED flash, HDR and panorama, so it's a tie. And about the video recording options in the devices, X3 Pro can shoot 4K video max at 30 fps, Full HD video max at 240 fps with gyro electronic image stabilization. Whereas 10i can shoot 4K video max at 30 fps, Full HD video max at 120 fps with gyro electronic image stabilization. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it can record Full HD slow motion video at 960 fps. Moving to the performance of the devices, let's start with the operating system of the devices. X3 Pro have Android 11 support. On the other side, 10i also have Android 11 support, so it's a tie. And about the user interface of the devices, X3 Pro have Mi UI specially designed for Poco, whereas 10i have Mi UI. So I will call it a tie here because both of the devices have slightly different UI. Let's talk about the processor of the devices. X3 Pro is powered by Snapdragon 860 based on 7nm processor, whereas 10i is powered by Snapdragon 750G based on 7nm processor. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have more faster processing speed. And about the GPU of the devices, X3 Pro is packed with Adreno 640, whereas 10i is also packed with Adreno 619. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it can give you more FPS in games. Let's talk about the clock speed of the devices. X3 Pro can clock at 2.96 GHz based on octa-core Creo chipset, whereas 10i can clock at 2.2 GHz based on octa-core Cortex chipset. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it has faster clock speed. And about the RAM variants in the devices, X3 Pro comes with 2 RAM variants, 6 and 8 GB of RAM variants, whereas 10i have 2 options, 6 and 8 GB of RAM variants. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have high speed of RAM. Let's talk about the internal storage of the devices. X3 Pro comes with 2 storage options, 128 and 256 GB, whereas 10i have only 128 GB of storage. So clearly the winner here is X3 Pro because it have faster read and write speed. And about the external storage of the devices, both of the devices have external card slot option, but they use a shared SIM slot. So it's a tie here. Moving to the display features of the devices. Let's start with the display size of the devices. X3 Pro have 6.67 inches of display, whereas 10i also have 6.67 inches of display. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have bigger display size. And about the screen to body ratio of the devices, X3 Pro have approx 84.6%, whereas 10i have 84.6%. So clearly it's a tie here because both of the devices have same ratio. Let's talk about the screen resolution of the devices. X3 Pro comes with Full HD Plus display. On the other side, 10i also have Full HD Plus display. So it's a tie. And about the display type of the devices, X3 Pro have IPS LCD display having 120Hz of refresh rate with HDR10 support, whereas 10i also have IPS LCD display having 120Hz of refresh rate with HDR10 support. So clearly it's a tie here because both of the devices have same display. Moving to the body features of the devices. Let's start with the thickness of the devices. X3 Pro have 9.4 mm of thickness, whereas 10i have 9.0 mm of thickness. So the clear winner here is 10i because of slimmer body design it have. Talking about the weight of the devices, X3 Pro comes with 215 grams of weight, whereas 10i have 214 grams of weight. So clearly it's a tie because both of the devices have approximately the same weight. And about the protective glass of the devices, X3 Pro have Gorilla Glass 6, whereas 10i also have Gorilla Glass 5. So clearly the winner here is X3 Pro because it have newer generation of glass which is more durable than its older generation. Let's talk about the build quality of the devices. X3 Pro have glass back with plastic frame, whereas 10i have glass back with plastic frame. So it's a tie here. And about the SIM options in the devices, both of the devices have dual SIM support, so it's a tie. Moving to some of the most important features of the devices, let's start with the fingerprint scanner of the devices. X3 Pro have side mounted fingerprint scanner, and the other side 10i also have side mounted fingerprint scanner. So I will call it a tie. And about the sensors in the devices, X3 Pro have accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity and compass, whereas X10i also have gyroscope, accelerometer, proximity and compass. So again, it's a tie. Let's talk about the battery capacity of the devices. X3 Pro have 5160 mAh of battery, whereas X10i also have 4820 mAh of battery. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have larger battery capacity. Let's talk about the charging speed of the devices. X3 Pro have 33 watts of fast charging, whereas X10i have 33 watts of fast charging. So clearly it's a tie here. Let's talk about the loudspeaker of the devices. X3 Pro comes with stereo speakers, whereas X10i also have stereo speakers. So I will call it a tie because both of the devices can produce immersive sound. And about the headphone jack of the devices, X3 Pro have 3.5mm of headphone jack, whereas X10i also have. So it's a tie here. Moving to the communication chips in the devices, starting with the WLAN of the devices. Both of the devices comes with Wi-Fi AC, dual band Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi direct and hotspot. So it's a tie here. And about the Bluetooth version of the devices, X3 Pro have 5th generation of Bluetooth, whereas X10i have 5.1 generation of Bluetooth. So the winner here is X10i because it have newer generation of Bluetooth. Let's talk about the positioning chips in the devices. X3 Pro have AGPS, GLONASS, Galileo and BDS, whereas X10i have AGPS, GLONASS, Galileo, BDS and some other chips. So the winner here is X10i because it have some other chips. And about the USB connectivity of the devices, X3 Pro comes with 2nd gen of Type-C connector with OTG support, whereas X10i also have 2nd gen of Type-C connector. So the winner here is X3 Pro because it have OTG support. Moving to the price of the devices, starting range of X3 Pro is around $220, whereas X10i is available from $300. In the Indian market, X3 Pro have starting range from 17,500 rupees and X10i is available from 22,000 rupees. So the conclusion of the video is, in the camera, the winner is X10i. In the performance, the winner is X3 Pro. In the display, it's a tie. In the body segment, the winner is X10i. In the features of the devices, the winner is X3 Pro. In the communication chips, it's a tie. And about the prices, the winner is X3 Pro. So the decision is totally yours. Which device you like the most so far, and let me know in the comment below what you think, which device is better for you. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you like our content, please like our video, share this video and subscribe to our channel. Comment what's your thought in the comment below. If you're watching this video on Facebook, please like our page like that. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, here's my Instagram ID on the screen. This is Amit and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.